Hey, this is Peter and welcome to another Take a Break with Valley CAD. So have you ever had to come in and design out some like sprockets or gears amongst each other, maybe pulleys, and you wanted to kind of create your layout on that, but working in an assembly might have been a little bit trickier to do that. And there's actually a function within SOLIDWORKS part files where you can do that, and it's coming in and utilizing sketch blocks and some other special tools that we're going to show you in this video. So go get your favorite cup of coffee or tea, and I'll see you in SOLIDWORKS in just a click. Hey there, welcome to SOLIDWORKS. So I got a part file active here and we're inside of a sketch. So what we're gonna be coming into is working with belts and pulleys, and it's gonna be done through a sketch command. Now, before we go in and we start working with this function inside of a part file, we need to learn about blocks a little bit more. So I currently have my blocks toolbar living out here in the middle of my graphics area. It's normally living on the left side of my screen over here. But if you don't have your blocks toolbar, what I would recommend is simply come up to one of your tabs, such as like the sketch tab there, simply right click on it, go to toolbars, and you'll see blocks there. Go ahead and activate that, and then from there, make it so you can see it. If you'd like to have it on the left side of your screen, like how I have mine, that's totally up to you on how you want to see your system, right? So I'm gonna keep mine out, just living in the middle of my graphics area for the sake of this video. So we're gonna come in and we're gonna make a block. And so to make a block, you have to select your sketch entities. And keep in mind, I am in the middle of a sketch. I know that because of my confirmation corner here. Also my origin is red, and also my status bar, you know, right below me, right here, right? It says that I am an underdefined, but also says editing sketch number 1 there. And also at the top of my screen there, it says sketch 1 of tab 21 sketch Pulley. So these are great ways for SOLIDWORKS to say, hey, you are currently in a sketch. Congratulations. All right, so as we come in here, I wanna come in and make this into a block. Now, as I come in, if I do a window over this, you'll see a flyout here, right? And I didn't move my cursor way over here. By the way, if you actually doing like that little flyout disappears, bring your cursor in that general area and tap Control. That will then make that little flyout pop up again. So from here, that little icon there says Make Block. That's the same icon that's living in your toolbar as well. So you could either go using your toolbar, or you could use that little flyout there if you want. So as you come in, because I selected this vertical center line, and by the way, keep note of that relation, that vertical relation there, and also this circle, SOLIDWORKS will say, hey, we'll take these two entities and we'll make it into one given entity as a block. Now, as I look at my properties, there's this thing that says insertion point. I recommend working with your insertion point to make sure it's in a given location that you want. Since we're dealing with a circle, I'm gonna be putting my insertion point in the center of it. Now, for the sake of this video and this little lesson I'm giving you, you don't need to worry about your insertion point. Where insertion points really come into play is if you're gonna take your block and put it in another file. So you can actually save these blocks out as separate like files outside of your part file. Pretty cool. So we'll simply say okay to that, and you'll see that I have a block. Now this block looks an awful lot like these other ones, and what I mean by that is that they're both kind of like all grayed out. A lot of people that work with blocks, they kind of think, oh, I'm not inside of a sketch, oh shoot. And then all of a sudden they notice their confirmation corner going, oh wait, I am in a sketch. So if you need to edit a block in any way, you can simply come in, as if you click on it, you can simply say edit block from there. And it now allow you to activate the block or the entities that make up that block. Cool. So in my confirmation corner, you'll see a little A there. Just click on that. It gets you back into your sketch, even though you never technically left your sketch, but it allows you so you can see your other entities. Okay, so now we got our blocks all made up. And remember how I mentioned that vertical center line here? Well, guess what? When you make a block, you can actually come in and you can spin this around as you see fit. Okay, all right. So now we have that set up. What we're gonna do next is we're gonna come in and activate the belt and chain function with blocks. And so as I look at my block window here, or my block toolbar, I should say, you'll see this little icon on the far right. It's called a belt and chain. Now this belt and chain function, this does work inside of assemblies as well, but there's some little gotchas with it sometimes. Like I don't know, I'm pretty efficient with it, but there are scenarios here where it might be more convenient to do it as a part file. And so when you're doing this belt and chain scenario here, what you're gonna do is you're gonna come through and click on blocks, and SOLIDWORKS will then come in and create a belt between them. Yeah, simple as that. I'll simply click on this circle, then I'll come down and click on this circle. You'll see that SOLIDWORKS now came in with a belt between those two pulleys. Or maybe you set up a chain between those two sprockets. I'm gonna keep going through and simply click on my circles here, and I'm purposely doing it in order. And you'll see that SOLIDWORKS will just continually connect all of them until it's a fully closed system there. Now you will notice that I have one where it shows that it's crossing weird. You just simply click on the arrow there, and SOLIDWORKS will flip the direction or the side of that chain going around that pulley. Perfect. So as we do that, we will come down to our properties section. Through our properties, we have a driving checkbox. If you have that engaged, what SOLIDWORKS will do is it will actually come in and say, okay, we need to make it so that our belt is gonna be at this distance there, or this length. Personally, I keep mine unchecked. I'm gonna allow my parameters or my rules of where pulleys are located or sprockets are located, whichever scenario you wanna say, and let that drive the length of my actual belt or chain. So you'll see here that SOLIDWORKS is saying that this is 82.207 inches long currently. Now if I come in, you'll see a little checkbox says use belt thickness. So if I click on that, notice if I come in and zoom in on this little pulley here, and I'll change this from 0 to 0.125, so 1/8 of an inch. SOLIDWORKS will offset that out 1/8 of an inch, so acquiring for the thickness of that material. And it does that for every single block entity that you see there. Then after that, we can also specify engage belt. I like keeping mine checked on all the time. And then from there, we simply say okay to that. So now we can see in my single sketch here, I'm in one sketch. That's one thing to note. That belt function that works within your blocks can only work inside the same sketch that has those blocks. So you cannot come in and say, all right, I'm done with making my blocks, make a new sketch, and then try to do that belt function again. Not gonna work. It has to be done in the same sketch. So as we see here, SOLIDWORKS will come in and say, hey, you have a length of 82.931 inches. That's how long your belt currently is. That's really cool. So if I ever came in and said, hey, you know what? Let's change that from 8, let's change it to 12. And then we'll simply say okay to that. You'll see here at SOLIDWORKS automatically recalculated the length of my belt system there. Pretty awesome. So with that property of coming in and specifying that engage function right with my belt, I can simply right click and I can say edit belt if I want to, but that engage belt is selected. Watch what happens when I come in here and I start spinning that first circle that I had. If I come in and we'll do a clockwise rotation, you will see that all the other pulleys or circles are spinning with it as well. How cool is that, right? It's able, and it's also doing it in the right ratio between the sides of the circles between each other. That is super awesome. So maybe you have a scenario. Notice how I have a driven dimension here, and it currently says 33.02 on there. If I came in and I needed to time out where my locations are with my pulleys here, right? So maybe you need to set up a timing belt or something like that, right? So you could actually come in here and you could give driving angular dimensions on it. So let's say, hey, I need you to be at 25 degrees. Because I made that driving and this one's driven, that one will also automatically update for me. Pretty cool. And we'll simply say okay to that, and I just simply deleted that dimension, and we'll simply get out of the sketch there. So as we look at my sketch, notice that, oh, wait a minute, my pulley's not spinning. Well, the reason is because if I come up to my features tab, there's this thing called Instant 3D, right? If I enable that, that will now allow me to come in and I could spin my pulleys as I see fit while I'm outside of the sketch. Okay, so that's a really cool setup there if you want to be able to spin it outside of the sketch. From here, you can take those circles, you can extrude those out so that they're actual pulleys or sprockets if you see fit, Or if you like to do top-down modeling approaches, you can actually come in and create this in an assembly, make a virtual part inside. So you can say this is my layout for everything. And then from there, you could set up your actual sprockets or pulleys that go in here into your assembly and mate them up to the sketch. So there's several really useful techniques of using the block command and doing the belt chain approach with it. Cool. So that's one way of making a mechanical system with blocks. But let's look at another one here. That was working with a belt and chain approach. But what if we need to come in and look at how gears made up with each other, right? So I'm in a sketch again. You'll notice that because of my confirmation corner. And also you see that my entities are blue. But these two here are kind of grayed out. As I click on them, you will see here that they are actually blocks already. So same scenario, I'm gonna simply come in, and from there, I'm gonna simply say make a block. If you did select it, you moved your cursor off, you can simply right click on the entity and then say make a block as well, okay? I'm not gonna worry about my insertion point this time. It's a really tempted habit of mine. I'm not gonna worry about it. Just to show you that it doesn't have to be centered about your block. So now we have this set up. What we're gonna do is we're gonna make it to where these circles engage with each other. So if I came in and I started spinning this circle around, I want it so that it will spin that one around and vice versa. So if I come in here and click on that circle, hold down Control and click on this circle, you will see this thing called Engage Blocks. As you look on the left side of my screen, this is also known as a traction mate. So as I click on that, SOLIDWORKS will take the circle that's currently floating because this little one's centered about my origin. It will make it so it goes tangent. And now watch what happens if I click this point and I start spinning it. SOLIDWORKS will come in and it will rotate the other one in ratio to this bigger one. The smaller one here is actually a 2-inch diameter and this bigger one is a 6-inch diameter. And so if we line that up nicely, we could have a lot of fun with that, saying, all right, so there's 1, 2, and 3, right? So a 3 to 1 ratio, right? All right, so then from here, we could simply come in, hold down Control, click on there and click on there and do the exact same thing since I made this into a block. Now, if I take this one, I spin this one around, let's wait on that one for a second. So I spin this around, you will see that SOLIDWORKS will spin the other one as well. Now, why did SOLIDWORKS do that weird thing where it's like kind of spinning this thing a little funky, right? Well, the reason is because this thing is not fully defined yet. But notice as I click on that center point and I start moving it around, you'll see that SOLIDWORKS will actually spin the circle as it spins around, that pinion, right? A rack and pinion approach in a way, kinda. But it makes it really cool being able to do this sort of scenario here. Now, SOLIDWORKS is also intelligent. If I come in here and I set it up to where this circle and this circle also have a traction or engage blocks relation between them, it will not, and I repeat, will not spin because it's physically impossible for it to spin because let's say this is going clockwise or counterclockwise, which would cause this one to go clockwise, which would then cause this one to go counterclockwise, which is making that one go, oh wait, right? So that's why it does not work. So SOLIDWORKS has some intelligence behind that, which is very convenient. So we simply come in here, it's at relation number 19 in my scenario, and I'll delete that. So we could come in and say, hey, I want these 2 points here to be vertical to each other, although that's overlapping, shoot. But you can actually come in and fully define it, and then from there, you don't have to worry about it. So even though these are overlapping, since I don't have a relation between them, SOLIDWORKS is gonna ignore it at this time. Perfect. So once again, my name is Peter. I really hope you got some cool nuggets on being able to utilize blocks inside of simple sketches. Now you can apply that possibly in assemblies or top-down modeling. So I really appreciate you taking a break here and watching a little video tech tip here for you. If you are enjoying these videos, please click that thumbs up button. Also click subscribe so you get notified for future Take a Break videos and other videos coming from Valley CAD. Also, if you have some examples or anything that you want us to show in a future Take a Break video, be sure to reach out to us. You can even call us, or you can also reach us on our website, or you can email us. It's info@valleycad, we're happy to take recommendations for future videos that you might want to see how we might use it. So other than that, have a great rest of the day and make sure you learn something new.